Oh, hey everyone. Today I want to talk to you about how you go about answering questions that are asked during a tender process. G'day everyone, Simon Zarifa here from Shrewd. We provide commercial assistance to the Commonwealth to help the Commonwealth successfully deliver value for money projects. Righto, so you're running a tender, let me do it that way, tender process. Now when I put it in inverted commas, what I mean by that is you could be running an RFQ, a request for tender, an RFQ, an RFQ, request for quote, an RFT, request for tender, an EOI, so an expression of interest, or an RFEOI, a request for expression of interest, or there's probably others I just can't remember. But you are running a tender process. Now, during that tender process, tenderers or potential respondents are going to ask questions. They always do because they want more information, usually. So what they're going to do is you will send out your market approach or your documents that you want a quote for. During the process, they come back and say, okay, we've got these questions. So then this video is how do you deal with those tender questions and what is the process? Right. So the key thing to understand here is from a probity perspective, you want to ensure that there is a level playing field for all people who are potentially going to lodge a response. So what that means is, to ensure that the playing field is level, you need to ensure that each party only knows as much as the other. So that means whatever information you are going to disseminate, you have to disseminate it to all. So any question that gets asked by one vendor or potential respondent has to be released to all other potential respondents so that they know what the question is and, more importantly, what the department's answer is. So when you get your question in, you need to sanitize it. That's step one here, to sanitize the question so that no one will know who asked the question. And that can be as simple as changing, any references to companies so that it says something like a vendor or a potential respondent has asked the following question. Then you put in a colon and a new line and just lay out what the question is. Then you also want to ensure that your answer is sanitized. In other words, you want to make sure that your answer is good and useful to everyone and not just directed at the vendor that asked the question. So sanitize the question, sanitize the answer, and then circulate it to all. That's really the concept. A couple of other things though. Make sure your response is helpful, please. I implore you. Usually vendors are asking these questions because they want more information, because they don't clearly or they don't quite understand exactly what's being asked. So if you just go back and write yes or no, like really, that's as helpful as a bloody, an ashtray on a walking stick, or actually it's an ashtray on a motorbike or a wheel on a walking stick. But you get what I'm saying, right? And I've seen this a lot from the Commonwealth, that someone asks a long-winded question and the Commonwealth just says yes or no. I mean, like, seriously? Come on, guys. I mean that in the nicest possible way, but try and be helpful, right? They've gone to the trouble of asking the question. Help them out with the answer. Then, as I say, that sanitized question and the sanitized helpful answer needs to be shared with all respondents. So it's good to use a Q and answer format. And so what that could mean is you could take the question and put it in a table. So you have a question and then an answer, and then you'd circulate that either in an email or as a Word document attached to an email. When you do send it out, I would send it to yourself and then BCC all the other respondents or potential respondents. You don't want to make vendors aware of who else is bidding, so that's why it's always useful or great to use the BCC function. That's what I use all the time. And that way they'll never find out who the other vendors are. Well, not through you anyway. Or if you're using OzTender or any other sort of procurement software, OzTender and those other procurement tools, because I've seen them, do have the ability to send out questions and answers to all potential respondents. So in other words, the people you originally approached for your quote, all of those people must be given the question and the answer. Do yourself a favor, number the email so that this will be, your RFT or RFQ, the project name, maybe the number, and maybe then tender questions, hashtag, 3, if this is the third set of questions. Just so when tenderers see the email, they know it's another batch of questions and answers. Makes their life easier as well. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to keep a record of all the questions that were asked and all the questions that were answered. So I hope that helps. That's how you answer tender or questions posed during a tender / RFT, RFQ, RFI, EOI, etc. process to get the best out of your potential respondents. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Simon@shrewd.com.au or 1-800-SHREWD or 1-800-747-393. Thank you.